Being recorded, Alana?
Yes.
Okay, hi everybody. I'm Kris Keller. I'm the Market Center Tech Trainer here at MC 883, and I'm also your Quantum Leap instructor. Does anybody know about Quantum Leap?
No.
No, nobody knows about Quantum Leap? So here's the story. Gary Keller put together a program called Quantum Leap, and it's for 18 to 28-year-olds. Well, you can volunteer to be a teacher. What we do is we identify folks that want to teach. Ladies, sorry, we're being recorded, so if you want to talk, take it outside of the room. So we identify folks who want to teach, and we suck them into the Quantum Leap hemisphere, where they get a lot of good trainings on how to be a better facilitator. So if teaching is something that's in your wheelhouse that you want to explore and expand, you should consider Quantum Leap. Now, this program serves 18 to 28-year-olds who really just maybe want some direction on how to figure out their why. And then from there, sort of launch into, who they want to be when they grow up. And it's a super awesome program, and we raise a lot of money for scholarships through KWKC, which is one of our charities that we're raising money for today with our silent auction. And KWKC does a lot of good work helping students get through school. So, among other things. Anyway, that's just a side note. So I started out as an agent 6 years ago almost now. And Lisa knows most of my story because her and I used to work together, and now we're on the Moonstone team together. And when I started, I was a part-timer and I had a full-time gig. You have a full-time job? No, okay, excellent. So you're a full-time real estate agent? Congratulations, I'm proud of you.
I did notary also.
That's awesome, and a notary. Okay, and a notary, yeah, very good. So I spent 28 years in business and accounting before I decided to get a real estate license. And one of the challenges I had was, how do I take 28 years of work experience and utilize it in a whole new industry that doesn't need me to do a tax return and doesn't need me to do any bookkeeping and that kind of thing. And so when I got my license, I was a part-timer, and I didn't have a whole lot of money to put into advertising myself. And so I just grew my business very organically. I started with my sphere of friends and family and marketed them, sent them all a thank you card, and told them that I was an agent and gave them a couple cards and asked them to help me get started. And my first year part-time, I think I closed like 5 deals. And at the time I was working at Northwood, and they were kind of impressed by that for a part-timer. They didn't have a lot of faith in part-time real estate agents. They figured they were distracted by too many other things to be able to really grow and be profitable. And I, of course, rejected that notion outright. 5 years into it, it took me 3 years to go full-time because it's hard for me to let go of that paycheck, And when I look back on it, I wish I would have let go of that paycheck so much sooner. So I'm proud of you. It's a scary thing to do, jumping off the ledge. But those folks at Northwood weren't wrong about only being able to serve one master. You get emotionally exhausted in the job that you don't want to have. And then you have less energy to put into the job that you want to have, that you want to do. And so even though it's a big sacrifice to take that leap, there's a big payoff there. So before we get into designations and how to build out your resume a little bit more and leverage your revenue streams a little bit more, I'll share this thought with you. My dad always used to say, Christy, sometimes you have to go out on a limb. Do you know why? And I would say no. And he would say, because honey, that's where the fruit is. And until you're willing to take that leap of faith, sometimes you can't really reach it all the way to really see what is capable, right? So that little gap in between is like the saddest space. It's like the space that could have been if you don't keep pushing forward. That sad little space. It's that thing that you could have done, right? That you got discouraged to keep pushing forward to doing because you were emotionally exhausted trying to get there. So my spiel for the day is don't give up on yourself. Always show up for yourself, even though you're tired and you've got more to go. Okay, so my resume looks like this. As soon as I became an agent, I said, I gotta join a board. Does everybody remember the board? Hey, see, this is perfect. We talk about boards. So at first I thought, join a board, how much is that? And they were like $500. I was like, I don't have $500, that's crazy. And they were like, well, look, for starters, you need to have access to all your forms. And these forms can change without your knowledge. So if you're using the wrong form, you could get yourself in hot water. So the best benefit that you get out of joining the board is that you get your access to your forms real time, right? So when they change, you know. That's your NAR, that's your PAR library. That's your PAR library. Okay. When you join a board, you get a membership to NAR and you get a membership to PAR. That's what you're buying when you join the board. And so PAR gives you the forms and NAR gives you a national lobby group, right? We have a national lobby group for our industry where, you know, we can speak our mind and voice our complaints and fight for better fair housing and all those sorts of things. And you'll see emails come out from NAR, right? They ask you to vote on things as a NAR member, and PAR does the same thing. So these designations in my hands, these designations are NAR designations. This is a NAR designation. When you join a board, you get to use this designation known as Realtor, right? You're no longer a real estate agent, now you're a realtor. Okay, so those are all NAR designations. This is a KW, new KW designation that you can go after. It's a two-class situation. I'll tell you a little bit about that. These are my designations from a different life, from the life before real estate.
Oh.
Can you see? No matter where I go, I'm in trouble here. Jordana, you know all this. You're doing great. Okay, so these are my designations from another life. When I was a tax accountant, still am, still have a tax license, still a notary signing agent, and some of my educational stuff. And now, right now, I'm working on this one, which is another NAR designation. This is seller's representative. Okay, so we're here today to talk about ABR and GREED. So I give you a little handout about ABR. And the long and the short of it about ABR is becoming an accredited buyer's representative, or an accredited buyer's representative designee, as they call it, just certifies you that you have a beyond a minimum level of knowledge on how buyer agency operates and how to service your buyers within the realm of buyer agency and Pennsylvania law, right? So it's a wonderful designation, I think, and I got into it pursuing my brokers, just like Jordana said. After about 4 years in the business, I came over to Keller Williams and I started hearing about teams. And at first I was very confused about teams, and then I came to understand that brokers obviously are supervising agents. We all learned that in school, right? And when we set teams up inside of brokerages, we create another level of structure where we have a little bit more, I have to use the word supervisory because it's really not, but a little bit more like compliance oversight, maybe is the right way to say it, for the agents, right? And some more support so that they don't get themselves in any kind of lawsuit situations. So teams within the team, right? Moonstone has 6 members. I'm one of them, and has 5 other members. And the reason I pursued my broker's license was so that I had the license that was suitable to be able to help those other agents with compliance matters, right? Currently, that's not a requirement in the state of PA. But the theory is that it will become one. But eventually, the Real Estate Commission will say, look, if you want to run a team, you've got to be an associate broker, okay? Because as a realtor, real estate licensee, realtor member of the board, doesn't matter, realtor or not, you haven't really brought forth the education and the experience requirement to say to the Real Estate Commission, that you can check for compliance for these other agents and support their needs, right? And so I thought I'd get proactive about it and start this broker's journey. And that led me down this path to these classes that Jordana was mentioning, where you get something more than just the CE out of it, right? You get this designation. And so that's what led me to ABR. So green was a broker's course, was one of my options. And in the process of taking green class, you get certified. So you get that designation, which we're gonna talk about next. And then ABR requires 2 courses. And that green course is one of them. So here I already had half of it. So I had to pick in just one other class that would fulfill ABR, and then I had ABR. Now, as Jordana alluded to, there's memberships. So your first year, the membership's free, okay? Then the following year, they prorate you, depending on when you got your ABR and you came into the. Now, you know, the memberships, just like the board, are all tax deductible on your tax return, right? These are your business expenses. And if there's anything that you should be investing in, it should be you. So those are really good investments to make, okay? Now, there's benefits from having these memberships. At the board, you get your library, but you also get a lot of networking events that they offer throughout the year. It gives you the opportunity to go out and meet other agents, even from other brokerages, and have referral relationships, or help one another do open houses, or sell your listings, or network, or do B2B marketing together, or farm an area together, or whatever, right? So there's a lot of opportunities there to just meet your cohorts in your community. They're doing the same thing that you're doing. And then, of course, they offer a lot of classes, and many of those are free. And some of them fulfill your CP, your CE, I always call it CP, continuing professional ed, same thing. They fulfill your requirements. So if you're the kind of person that doesn't like sitting on Zoom anymore and taking a class, because we're all kind of burnt out on that, the beauty of these memberships is that you get some real live events that you can plug into, and you can meet some local folks. So one of the nice things I love about ABR is every month I get this newsletter. And, you know, we get all this stuff in the mail, we never read it, right, because we don't have time, but the very first time I got this one, I thought, well, I'll check it out. And there was actually a lot of really good tips in it. And so I thought I'd just pass those around so you guys could see kind of information. And I found it really helpful, like demographics on how buyers changed over the last 3 years just because of COVID. You know, how their motivations in the market have changed, right? It used to be that their proximity to their job was a real high priority. But nowadays, they're more concerned about their proximity to their community, or even how dense their community is, right? So we saw that with COVID, we had a mass exodus out of New York. There were a lot of people that said, you know, I think I'm over the city, I don't think I want to do it anymore. And there were a lot of people that moved into Pittsburgh from New York. You know, we've had people moving in from all over, but so I really like the resources. So there's 4 things you have to do to become an ABR. You have to take this 2-day accredited buyer's representative designation course. Then you got to pass the test. You got to get at least 80%. After you take that course, you actually have 3 years to complete the test and everything else. Then you have to take that elective course. That was my green course that I'm going to tell you about in a minute. Then you have to have at least 5 completed transactions where you were the buyer's agent. Dual doesn't count because they're just about the buyer here. So they don't want to know that you're working with the seller for this purpose. And then you have to maintain membership both at NAR and REBAC, which is the Real Estate Buyers Agent Council. Amanda.
So you can't kind of like count yourself as a accredited buyer's rep until you have 5 transactions after you, and that's at that point is when you can attach it to your name.
You got it. You have to prove to them that you closed 5 buys before they'll give you the membership and give you the designation. And until they send you that letter that says, hey, you've been awarded the designation of ABR, you can't market with it. But you're spot on. At the end of my email signature, you can imagine what I got going on down there. I've got ABR, I've got green, I've got, you know, every logo that I can legally use, right? It's in that signature, and you know, who knows who I'll attract from that? Maybe nobody. Hopefully, though, my theory is that folks who spend over $1 million, they've bought and sold more than a couple times. And after a while, not all of them, but some of them look for brokers to deal with before agents. And Jordan, I don't know if you've ever had an experience like that, where you picked up a real big listing and the person has said to you, oh, you're a broker. You know, we picked you because you were a broker, or because we figured you had that extra level of expertise.
Honestly, no.
Never run into that.
Because I think, first of all, it's all how you sell yourself.
It is.
And it's also, but I can get into what I believe that these are for.
Yeah, but it's okay. Yeah, we can do that at the end.
Yeah.
But so I just we don't want to run out of time, because I want to talk about green more than ABR, because I'm really jacked about green.
Yeah.
It's super
I took
cool.
the first green class in
I love
Ramp, 10 years ago, 14 years ago.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's ABR. But now whether that theory is true or not, like Jordana's saying, I think she's spot on. I think it depends on how you market yourself and how you present yourself. And certainly 9/10 of this is the other person's perception, right? So it's all about building rapport and letting them know what your knowledge is, you know, and being reliable. You know, being reliable and providing a service, obviously bringing them the value in every exchange that you have with them is key. But in some cases, you might attract people who are in those tribes, right? Like I tend to attract a lot of tax preparers and accountants just because that's been part of my tribe. And, you know, when you're getting started, you have to plug into every avenue you have here. And so don't be shy about plugging into your tribe and all your friends' tribes, you know, and expanding out from there. Because you gotta get it going somewhere. So it's all about casting that big net. So ABR is really cool. I've been enjoying it since I got it. Green, however, so I'm a next generation kid. And in high school, our homecoming float was a nuclear waste dump. Frankly, we were convinced that the world was going to hell in high school. And so I won't say that we're like the original tree huggers, because I know the kids from the 60s are, and maybe there was a group before them, and I don't know because I'm not old enough. But I would definitely consider myself a tree hugger. I lived out in Northern California for about 6 years, and after you see the redwoods,
Oh my God, so beautiful.
these trees around here, they're just sticks.
Right.
And so once you put that in perspective, you know, like I didn't recycle until I moved to California. But that was a long time ago. And when I moved there, we didn't recycle here. No. But so green is part of my heart. And so this handout that I've given you gives you just some basic definitions about what it means to be green, what it means in building terms to have a green building. And that one that says LEED, our convention center is a LEED certified building. In fact, it was the first convention center, I believe, in the country that was a LEED certified building. We were a little in front of it when we decided to make that investment. It's quite an impressive structure. And you can read up about it on Google. If you just Google it, it'll come right up. It'll tell you how it repurposes its water and how it replenishes and restores and establishes its energy components. And so it's a really neat structure. Well, what I want you to focus on is page 2. In your West Penn multi-list library, there's an energy green features checklist. Nobody does this when they list a house. I have been doing this for 6 years, and not one single time have I seen this as a supplemental attachment on anything. Nothing. And it always surprises me that we don't take the time to fill it out, because I bought a house 10 years ago and I spent a decade remodeling it. And if you look at the picture from when I bought it, and you look at the picture from when I'm selling it, it doesn't really look that different. It has new windows, it has a new roof, it has a new chimney, it has a new porch, and all the landscaping's changed. But the building looks exactly the same. All the work that I did is on the inside. The windows are energy efficient, the furnaces are energy efficient, the air conditioners are energy efficient, the whole entire kitchen suite is energy efficient, right? And from the outside, when you're looking at the sign, nobody can see any of that. Now, when I listed my house in the public remarks, I listed all of that, all of it in the public remarks, thinking people would want to come look at the house. And I want you to know that I didn't get any showings. And instead, the feedback that I got from buyer's agent after buyer's agent after buyer's agent is this. Well, your description reads like you definitely won't go any lower than your list price.
Interesting.
And I thought to myself, wow. Like, if there was one thing that I could say to every real estate agent that I've ever met or ever will meet, it's, do you realize that you're gonna miss 100% of the shots that you don't take? Do you know that? Because your client does. So when they ask you if they can get the house any cheaper, and you go, oh, I don't know, this is a really crazy market. I mean, probably not.
I say anything's negotiable.
Right? I mean, it's basically the same as saying to them, I wish you could, but I just don't have enough energy to try for you today. I'm sorry. And it's just not really a great response, right? And so I will tell all my buyers that. Let's give it a shot. And I've had some crazy buyers. Like, Kris, do you think we can get this 50,000 under list? Well, I don't know, but if we don't ask, how will we know, right? And so I've asked the question. And so anything that you can do to market that house, to make it stand out from the one next door, right, is going to help your seller. And I like this energy checklist. It covers a lot of good stuff. First off, some people don't know if they have insulation or not, but some people do know if they've taken the time to put insulation in the attic or, in the crawl space or what have you, or if they've blown it into the walls. They don't know what the R value is. And most buyers don't know what the R value is either, but they know spray foam insulation is a good thing. Windows are usually argon filled if they've been replaced in the last decade. They're usually solar shaded. They're usually double pane. They're usually Energy Star, and typically they're low E, unless you're looking at a flip where they went to Window World and bought the cheapest windows they could get their hands on, right? So you might have to dig into that a little bit. The house I just sold in Hampton had $22,000 with brand new Anderson windows in it. When I advertised it, they thought I was being bougie. Maybe it's better in the energy checklist than in the public remarks. I don't know, right? That was just some feedback. The water heater, you can tell whether it's tankless or if it's conventional just from looking at it. Usually it's conventional. The furnace, these things are pretty easy to ascertain. Most of us don't have geothermal, right? Indoor air quality, I mean, if you got radon, you want to check it. That Green Label Plus carpet, there's certain carpets that don't emit the fumes, right? They're made from higher quality petrochemicals, and they just don't emit the same fumes. Yeah. Yeah, and then indoor water, I mean, those dual flush toilets, we have them here, because they use a little less water. And then your outdoor, if you have a rain barrel, there's a lot of people in Regent Square that have rain barrels. They're collecting water over there to feed their gardens and stuff. So, people are really into that. And then, of course, if you have a pool, there's probably an Energy Star pump on it if it's been replaced in the last 5 years. And most people know the pool pumps go out pretty quick, and they get replaced pretty regularly, every 2 years. So I really like this green checklist. Now, the green designation, you get invited to things that are sort of on the edge of building. I keep hoping I'm going to be a builder, right? Like, God, please send me a builder. What a wonderful gift that would be, So I think anything that you can do to expand your knowledge about the building envelope and, construction in general. I mean, of course, you always want to disclose that you're not a general contractor, that they should consult a professional. But I'll give you this tip. I'm really into the building, and my uncle's a GC. And so when I bought my own house, all I could afford was a fixer. And that's where most of them started. And Lisa's been through this. Lisa's fixed up a bunch of houses. I'm sure you have too, Jade. I know Jordana, you have too. You learn so much working on your own house. But I would bring my uncle in and just talk to him. And he taught me so much just talking to him about how different materials are good for certain applications and not others. And as a real estate agent, when I take a person through a house, as a buyer's agent, as an ABR, when I take a person through a house, I beat the house up pretty good. I usually do that on my first showing because it really helps me establish trust with my client. You'll never hear me say, you should buy this house. Never say that, right? I wait for them to say, I want to buy this house. So my job is just to make sure they understand what they're buying. And all I do is just look at what I'm looking at and tell them what I see. Now, I try to do that reasonably, meaning if there's a crack on the wall and it's coming, I don't know whether that means we have a structural issue or not. I'm not a structural engineer. It's not a good looking crack. What does it mean? I don't know yet. We should explore it. What I will do are other things that I really know, like when you build a house, all the doors and the windows fit in the jambs and they all operate. And if windows and doors don't operate, that's usually not a good sign. It's usually a sign that maybe, a door might just need planed, it might have sweat, it might swell up, it might just need planed at the bottom. I'm talking about it's a little, you know what I mean? It's turned on you a little bit. Because it doesn't take a whole lot. I'm not a physicist. In fact, I bailed on that class. But it doesn't take that much for the weight to get redistributed in an unhealthy way. When I look at a foundation wall in a basement, if I'm on a plumb more than 1/8 of an inch, I'm worried about it. When they stacked those cinder blocks up, they were all in alignment. And they were supposed to stay that way. If they've slid in any other direction, it's not a good sign. And so that knowledge that I bring to the table, even though I'm not a builder, really helps me sell to investors. Right now, they all know more than me, right? And I've said some stupid things, I'm sure, over 6 years. I've probably put my foot in my mouth more than a couple times, Like that reminds me of that scene from Mr. Mom with Michael Keaton. I don't know if you guys when the boss comes in and he says, oh, you're remodeling, and Michael Keaton says, yeah, 110, 120, whatever it takes. Well, it's 110 and 220, And so I'm sure I've said some things where my investors have looked at me and gone, nice try, Kris, but they know that I'm trying, right? And that's helped me. And for the first time buyers that are terrified, it helps them. Helps them, give them some assurance and some perspective of what they should be looking for. And one of the very first things that I'll do with the new buyer, I always do this. We pull up to the house, right? It's the house they picked. Because the first house we go look at, you picked, not me. So I'm going to your house that you picked together. When we roll up on this house, I say, man, come across the street with me. We walk across the street. We look at the roof. And I'll explain to them what a new roof looks like, newer roof, and what an older roof looks like. And I'll show them, right? So they can visually see the difference of what they're looking at, right? Now, of course, I'm picking the worst roof I can find because I'm trying to show them a vast difference, right? If I pick a roof that's brand new and a roof that's 3 years old, how would I know it's 3 years old? They're going to look about the same, okay? But if I pick a roof that's bright and shiny and the asphalt's real thick, I know that roof's pretty new. And then right down the street, if I see a roof that, the shingles are popping up and some of them are missing or it's been patched or it's so thin, there's no asphalt left. It's like there's no rubber left on the tire so that they can see the difference. So I love green, and I think you learn a lot. You learn a lot about building, and it's really useful for the first-time buyers, for the buyers that are going to kick it up a notch and go from 250 to 500. They're scared. They're spending a lot of money. It's a lot of money for the investors, even though they might know more than you know. It brings a lot to the table. So check these out. That's my whole spiel on ABR and green. You guys have any questions about any of that? Thank you, Jordana,
No,
everybody, thank you.
I have a question.
Do you have any questions on that?
How come I've never seen this?
I know, like before I took my green class, I never saw it either. Okay,
I think this is a great feature, especially today.
I think so too. Now, how about this? Go into these libraries in your DocuSign
Okay.
because there's a bunch of other stuff in there you've never seen.
Ah,
There's all this stuff in there, I think it's from NAR. And they're like educational pieces that you can use with your clients, right? There's all sorts of things in there. It's unbelievable. I can't even think of any of them right now.
Well, and that's the thing, and Amanda, you just went to the NAR thing, they talk about all the designations that they did.
Oh,
A lot of them are through NAR, but I just want to say what you're asking earlier about, education, and if people ask me about education. I'm very big on education, getting educated in general, in every way. I have a master's degree. I mean,
yes.
I would say overeducated, underpaid, but my husband's
Yes.
a chiropractor. I mean, we all have these high levels of education in my family. And my belief is that you can't go wrong with education.
Can't.
Actually, my husband always says, you can take my car, you can take my house, but you can't take my knowledge. So the
You know-
question becomes, even if someone didn't say to me, I'm working with you because you're a broker, but am I more knowledgeable? I'm a pretty humble person, so I don't really go around going, I'm.
We don't
really-"
say that, right?
But what I don't know what I didn't know before.
Yeah.
And that's true of anything. I will say, and I said this at the lab with Ally, what she was talking about, anything that you spend money on and you pay for, you use it, not just use it, and not only just use it as a tool to get business. So,
Leverage
like,
it.
so for example, what Kris was saying about, I want a builder, go find a builder and tell them, hey, I'm green certified.
Right.
And get, I'm the only person in this, we're our own advocates here, right?
That's
So it's like, if we have kids, we're our children's advocates, right? Well, we're our own advocates too. So we have to, we're self-employed. So if you want something, you gotta go get it. So
Self-promote.
so you wanna go work with new construction and green, you go find the builders, or you convince someone to become a builder. Say, hey, I'm the only green person, agent here, or not even the only, but I'm a green agent and I specifically wanna help you and here's why. And that's kind of also the Keller Williams way. No one's gonna hand it to you. You gotta go and seek it yourself.
And it sounds like a win-win when you
Well, but
like when
yeah,
you're trying to build win-wins,
Exactly,
when you're seeking out that builder that wants to sell houses, I mean, it's
right, exactly.
create that. I mean, I had saved this link for us because here is the full list. It's unbelievable. ABR, which is accredited buyer's rep, accredited land consultant, if you were into the farm side, certified commercial investment member, so if you're commercial, certified international property specialist. 'cause
That's
you're
right, I have that
international.
right now, and I could explain.
CIPS.
Certified international property specialist, I just got it. And again, it's someone had contacted me and, they needed someone, it's an NAR designation and no one else in this area had it. And so I got it because I have relationships with other people who have it in other cities. So again, if you're gonna, and of course, I learned a ton, so even if I didn't get any referrals from it, it was really, and I've traveled a lot and I've lived in a lot of places and worked with a lot of international people, but
It's a good fit for your niche. You have a niche there.
it
You
is, but
serve
it's
a
also
target
like,
there.
same thing when they were talking about, the young professionals. If you're going to actually use it as far as the knowledge, but also network with other people.
For sure, for sure.
It's a big part of our business is getting the business, is lead generation.
This one is super cool. Like, Lisa, I know you're gonna end up with a broker's license someday, certified property manager, because I know that you've experienced with this, managing your own properties. Right. Certified real estate broker manager, if you want to get into the broker side of the business. Certified residential specialist, that's a CRS. That one sounds interesting. Counselor of real estate. That's
Aren't we already-
commercial, and we are, exactly. That one's a commercial one. Of course, general accredited appraiser, the green designation, NAR's green designation. Graduate of Realtor Institute, that's a GRI. That covers buyers and sellers. The Performance Management Network, which is mostly about referrals. The Association of Certified Executives. The Residential Accredited Appraiser. The SRS, that's the next one I'm going for. The Seller's Representative Specialist. Ramp's offering that right now for $200.
Is that about what it cost for the others?
I got ABR for $100.
Oh,
Now, the other thing to keep in mind though, like Kris was saying though.
'Cause I bought a
you
class.
You have to keep up the membership every year, if you wanna call yourself that. Now, I may or may not, don't go find me or sue me, but I think it's a couple $100 a year to keep it up, so just something that. Now,
Consider and tax deductible.
I will, right, it's taxable. I will tell you, one class I really enjoyed, probably one of my favorite was, Designation and don't have to renew. It's called Certified Negotiation Expert.
CNI.
Yeah, the instructor at the time's name was, I still remember to this day, it's Chris Walker, because he was that good. And it kind of takes you through how to deal with different, A-type personality, B-type, C-type personality, and.
How to negotiate at the person, different type
And,
level.
there also, I didn't take the advanced courses, but the advanced courses will go through like generational, like, it's kind of going to the psychology, what motivates somebody and how to react to certain.
I have a really good book on
It's
this.
really good.
A really good book on this topic that Jordana just mentioned. And it's a really easy read. It's like 100-pager. And if anybody wants the name of it, just swing by my office because it's in there. But it's all about figuring out what type of person you're dealing with and the most effective way to communicate with them.
now approximately how long are these courses? I mean, how long is it self-paced or?
No,
In this
it's
day
like,
and age, I don't know if you do the Zoom ones or what.
it's just a couple hours. Like Green was like a 4-hour investment over 2 days. Yeah,
The
and
ones I did, I have SRES and I have SFR.
senior, tell us what they are.
Senior real estate.
Specialist.
Yeah, yes, yeah, I was thinking, each other, they were,
And these are all on our site or?
Okay.
and then the other ones,
SIRS.
SRF or something, it's foreclosures.
Is it REO?
No,
Oh.
it's SR,
REO and
Short
foreclosures.
sales.
Short sales, REO and foreclosures.
yeah.
Something like that.
SRF.
Yeah.
They were each, I think one was 4 days.
Okay.
The other one was 2 days. So it just depends on the course.
Lisa, how'd you like that class on foreclosures?
It was interesting. You don't go into a lot of depth,
Right.
but you learn, and you can further it, by materials and stuff. But
I signed up once for an REO course. And I think I paid a couple $100. And they sent me this jump drive. It's filled with data. And it's all about how to start an REO practice. You need to have relationships with bankers. You have to be able to identify at FNB who leads the foreclosure department, right?
Like Libby Sissons.
Libby.
yeah, she has them all.
She's our girl.
She's like, but no, a lot of people say so-and-so has it, like so-and-so has the whole market of blah, 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 and it's just not true.
True, but she built that practice.
She's the one.
No, but
that's
the reason I
out there
say
to
that, yeah, but what I'm saying, the only reason I bring that up is because there's plenty, and I'm not saying that to give you a hard time, I just,
Right.
because there's enough business
Oh,
that
yeah.
still go out there to go around.
Yeah.
And she actually, if you Google her, you will find a interview she did once, and they asked her about, she almost quit when she first started the business, and then she got into this, and so I guess that's why I'm saying, like, it's so important. And Keller Williams is really big on mindset, to have the right mindset every day, wake up with the right, we don't always, right, but if you can try to wake up with the right mindset.
Get yourself there after you wake up.
Yeah, or also, like I said, with the mindset of this person has everything, not really, there's still plenty of business to go around. So, but
Here's what I heard about REO, and I don't know whether it's true. But the bank sends you a list. could be 26, 27 properties on it, right? They work on a cycle, like a monthly closeout cycle, right?
You have to send them, you have to do the reports for them,
Right.
like I've looked into it.
You have to list them fast.
You have to, you have to provide them with information. And they, they pass out the properties, but you do have to have relationships with the bank people.
Yeah, so it starts with a relationship. And then if you can get this list off this person, then like Lisa's saying, you have to do the legwork on these properties. You have to go over those properties. You're like their boots on the ground, right? And so you go over those properties and you say, this house is insecure. It needs boarded up. This house has got a garbage problem in front of it. This house, whatever. And you report back to the bank, whatever it needs done. And I don't know how much the listing agent coordinates that stuff, like whether she puts money out to secure the property for the bank and gets reimbursed, or how that would work, right? But
Well, here's what I would say though, and even it doesn't, any designation you choose to, and you get into REO, like limited. You
Yeah.
say, I'm going to be an REO specialist. You gotta treat it like a full-time job. You wake up in the morning at 8 o'clock in the morning and you call the banks and you have a plan every single day though.
yeah,
It's not gonna fall in your lap just because you take the classes, but you have to work this job like any other job. And that's one thing that I find sometimes, is a struggle. I mean, I know it's a struggle for me, so it's a struggle for all of us, because no
Sure.
one's there to tell us to go to work, which is great, but it means we have to ourselves every morning treat it like a full-time job. You treat it like a full-time job. If you don't have any clients, it doesn't matter. You still get up every morning at 8 o'clock. And
think
you,
about what conversations you could have today to further whatever deal you have that's the hottest, closest to a buy, sell, or an investment. What are your big rocks for the day? Even if you don't have a closing to work on or a listing to work on or whatever, you still got big rocks to go after, for sure. And my thing that I heard, just to wrap that up, is you get this list, you gotta move fast. You gotta get these houses listed. And so I think Libby has an admin or whoever that helps her, right? Because they don't have a lot of time. They gotta get them all over the market. And that's why you see foreclosures, with no pictures. All they need is one picture of the outside of the house to list it. They don't need anything else. So at first, she's just in assembly line mode. I need 27 pictures, I need 27 listings, I need 27 sellers disclosures, I need 27 lens, that's it. And she gets them up,
Some of
okay?
them are occupied, you can't go anywhere.
Right, but her first mission is getting them up, and it's a lot of work to get them up. And she's getting maybe $1,000.
well, and here's the thing, the banks know that you will get the job done consistently.
Right.
So again, it's all about any class that you take, decide that you're gonna do it full time.
Yeah.
Or even if you're gonna do it part-time, but you're gonna be committed to it.
Yeah.
And you're really gonna treat it like a job. And
I-
that's really the most important thing.
I am just getting to that place. Like 3.5 years part-time, I was focused on my job.
Sure.
Right? So then 2 years full-time, first year, I was just focused on surviving in the first year, selling more houses, right? And then the second year, COVID came,
Oh, geez, yeah. Mhm.
And so then it was survive COVID, right? And so I am literally just, like my head just popped up above the surface of the water to take a breath and go, who do I want to target before I go back down, and hold it for a minute and hopefully don't drown, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just starting to ask myself those questions, because now I have 6 years worth of experience to be able to say, well, I think I might want to target this because I really enjoyed it.
Mhm.
Or I definitely don't want to do that because it was horrible, And until you have some experience, how do you even figure it out?
And I agree with you 100%, as long as you just still have to do the work.
You gotta do it.
You have to show up.
That's it.
To show up.
And so the foundational building blocks of your life are like so important before you can even build anything,
Oh, for sure.
right? And when I jumped into real estate, I thought I had that right enough, but I didn't. And so I had to take a step back and fix some of that, because you can't build a skyscraper on a shaky foundation. It can't be done, okay? So if you got any of that, shore it up, because you don't want to build something that's going to fall down, right? And that's okay. And it's okay to be 4 or 5 years in and go, What do I wanna be when I grow
You're
up?
17 years old.
I mean, what do I wanna be when I grow up?
80 years
You know,
old. It's not about the age, it's not about
Yeah.
how long, but
What agent do I wanna be now? You know, because my feet are wet now. So what agent do I wanna be now, you know? But just like like Jordan is saying, be mindful of your reputation along the way.
oh, and also just
Just try it.
well,
Just do it.
yeah.
Whatever you do, whatever you jump in and learn to do it with all of your heart and soul and do it to the best of your ability. And even if you screw up, that person is gonna say, you know what though, Kris? You gave it everything you had and I saw you do that. And you know, we didn't get that house, but I'm gonna come back to you and we're gonna get the next one. You know, show them that, even if you're learning. And then if you hate that and you decide you're gonna walk away from it, you don't wanna do it anymore, then just close that bridge with a handshake and walk away from it in a good place and pick something new to try. There's no shame in that.
Exactly. And I like to, the saying, so that I know the South be true. So if you're full-time and you're doing a part of, that's nothing wrong. Like people think there's wrong or there's right. There's either this person does a gazillion sales or this person does two, but whatever
All
that number is, then do that number and be honest with yourself. That's really the most important thing to say, hey, I only want to sell 5 houses. I only want to work 10 hours a week. Cool.
And do that.
But you want to do Libby level work, you get up every day and you do it full time. And it doesn't show up on your table. So, but it's up to us. It's up to us. We can do whatever we want. It's our choice.
So rewarding. For our new agent in the room, ladies, before we walk out of here tonight, tell her, maybe you want to share a win with her, like how rewarding this is. My first stranger, here I have one for you. I thought, oh, friends, family, strangers don't want me. My first stranger today is my landlord. She bought a house with me. She bought a triplex with me. I divorced my husband and sold my house, and now I live in a triplex. She's one of my best friends. I've known her for almost 6 years, right? I know her kids and her husband and her mother and her whole family. That was the first stranger I ever served. And to this day, we're like this, and I was afraid to serve that stranger. And another agent didn't want her. Give her to me.
And guess what? One of Amanda's first clients that we worked on together, thanks to this client, we are now 2 degrees separation from Lionel Richie.
Oh my God.
That's not.
That is big.
That's a good deal.
What?
Right? Lionel freaking Richie.
That's
was dancing
huge.
on the ceiling. Yes. Yes, our client's grandson was on American Idol.
Yeah.
I love that you just said you're dancing on the ceiling.
We were totally dancing on the ceiling. So you never know. It's not just about the commission check. We got.
It's so not.
But I'll let Amanda, I just had to say about the Lionel Richie.
Oh, yeah. But no, it was my first client, like my first, you always think like, oh, I'm my first person, maybe someone I know or whatever, the case may be.
It's gonna be your sister.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he actually walked into the office.
Just
So,
walking.
so we worked with him and I actually got frustrated. I got very frustrated out of nowhere. Cause it not only was it wasn't just him, it was his wife as well. And it was just like one of those things, they're older. So you're like, here I am, it's my first deal, I'm a new agent, and they are far more experienced than I am in a lot of departments. And you know what I'm saying? It's not like their first house, they've had houses,
Right.
but it's like their first one after eons of renting, you know what I mean? So
Our first time homebuyer.
so basically, yeah. So I was telling Jordan, I said, you know what, after this, I was like, I don't know if I want to do residential anymore. I even went to Allegheny Cemetery. I said, I think, you know what, I think I want to sell plots. Cause
Like Amanda had so little fun, she said to herself, I think I want to sell land to dead people.
I
You know,
swear,
like-
I went to go back home and I said, you know what, it was like a lot going on in there, and I said,
Stress.
I don't think this is for me. I was so excited for it, but I don't think it's for me. And then, as it went and you get through that stressful time, while you're under contract, and now that it's over, and when we got to closing and just to see how happy they were, and it's like you're happy because they're happy, and you're like, wow, I did this, and we talked to this day, and we closed in what, June? So
And
yeah,
the
so-
thing is, like, what people don't realize is it's very it's one of the most stressful things another person does, but it's not our stress.
Right.
It's their
Oh, yeah,
stress,
that was,
and that's
that was a
an
big
issue,
thing.
but we all do that.
Yeah.
To some extent, we think, oh my
Of
God,
course
they're
we
angry, they're
absorb.
mad, they're not mad, they're, so,
yeah.
so we have to stay neutral, and that's hard, it's hard for all.
And they says, tell me, she said,
It's hard, it's easy.
and that's
to
one
tell
thing,
people.
yeah, definitely gotta like learn to,
It's hard.
she used to say, okay, that's not your stress, that's their stress, next. And
I
I
was
used to
told the
say,
same
I'm
thing.
like, you're right, let me take a breath, you're right,
Yeah,
and
it's
let me
hard.
attack this another way, cause I was very frustrated.
Yeah.
We assume it's us, we take it too, we put up the ego on ourselves.
Well, it's really easy to get emotionally involved,
Sure.
right? Like, our motto on our team is we want your dreams to come true. And the reason that that's our motto, little side story, the first time I went to sit down to talk to the banker about buying a house, I sat down with my now ex-husband and I said, we'd like to buy a house when we talked about getting a mortgage. And she said, I just closed on my house last Friday. And we said, oh, congratulations. And she then spent 30 minutes talking about the house she just bought. And the whole time I sat there and I listened to everything she had to say, and I was excited for her, truly. But after the end of those 30 minutes, I was like, could we talk about me buying a house?
Mhm.
And so that's why that's our motto. We want your dreams to come true, not ours. And you get emotionally into making their dreams come true. Yeah, you do. And the first year was a roller coaster ride for me. So I know exactly what you went through there. And in bold, the coach said, you have to find a way to disconnect your emotion from the result. Now, we were all raised this way. If we run the marathon, we'll get the ribbon. And if we don't get the ribbon, we're kind of ticked off about it, right? Because we ran the marathon, okay? And so, you know, we've been trained to be emotionally connected to the result, right? Yeah, the A on the paper, the whatever, the gold star, whatever it is. But in this scenario, you've got to break that. You got to break that emotional dependency on your success, right? It's like, well, if I succeed, then I'm a good whole person. You know, but if somebody else gets the house, well, my critic comes out. And my critic has all sorts of negative things to say about me, right? In fact, they're the worst things that have ever been said about me. In fact, my critic has said things about me that my parents wouldn't say about me, right? Most of them aren't true. They're my fears. They're my worries, right? They're my perceptions of reality that aren't reality because they're my perceptions of reality, right? 90% of the crap that we worry about, it doesn't even happen. It doesn't even happen. How many times in your life have you said, oh my God, I'm not gonna be able to pay the water bill, I'm not gonna be able to pay the water bill, I'm not gonna be able to, I'm not, and then on the day that it's due, you're like, swipe, pay the freaking water bill.
And then the bad thing too, the more desperate you are, the less things you have in life. So like, you have, that's one thing about.
Mindset.
Well, and the Keller Williams values are just faith and family first. So faith would be whatever your faith is. Keller Williams isn't here to tell you what it is, but just having, and some of it,
Just have faith
some of it is
in
even
yourself.
right, and some of it is even exactly, and some of it is even faith, and I follow the models and do what they tell me to do that it'll work. Because we all, I mean, like you just said, you have to have faith. I can pay the water bill, because if you don't, it's not going to work. But with that faith comes the work. So you can say,
Yes.
I have faith that.
Here's how I Here's how I'm gonna say it. Here's how I'm gonna say it. Okay, it's my favorite gold law. You can have faith or you can have fear, but you cannot have both. Now let's expand on that. Here's how I like to say it. Faith gets out of bed. Fear doesn't. Faith makes a phone call, even though you're gonna get rejected. Fear doesn't. Faith says, let me spend $4.50 a gallon to go show the house. Fear doesn't, okay? So there's no room for fear, like zero. And trust me when I tell you this, I lived my whole life with it. And I still have it, okay? I'm gonna move to Albuquerque. I said to Jeremiah, hypothetical situation, there's a campfire and it's dark. And you see something crawling towards the fire, it looks like a small cat. And then you realize it's a tarantula, what do you do? And you laugh like this. I'm afraid of that. But you'll figure it out, right? Jeremiah says, I'm shooting it all day. I said, you know, as long as you don't pick it up and chase me with it, we're good. He says, I'm definitely shooting it. I said, okay, then we're good. I mean, but
Fire.
Yeah.
Right,
Why
like,
can't you just,
I asked
Kill
people,
it?
this is a test, they're like, do I have a lighter? Because I can set it on fire pretty easy, you know, like, but faith does the work.
Well, and here's the question, when is, I mean, Jayla went all the way to Cleveland to do both, did you know that? And
Worth it.
amazing, I mean,
Worth it.
but we should be coming, I don't, it should, I mean, we, now during the pandemic, it was online,
It's
but
so
they're traveling
beautiful.
now, so the question becomes, when are,
When's it gonna be good?
I mean, we have enough
Mhm.
offices between the north and here,
And New Jersey and.
and, well, normally, I mean,
Delaware.
they usually just have it, no, but I know how it just in Webster, because there's enough people between the South Hills, the
Right.
city,
Right.
north, I mean, there's enough of us
If you get a chance to do bold,
to do it.
do it. When it was online, it was $99. That was a deal.
Yeah, yeah.
Right now, it's like $3.99 in person.
It's worth every penny.
Yeah.
I think it's worth $3.99.
It's worth to me, if I were to get an accreditation, I would do bold, I would do bold.
I'd go.
Because bold is a lot about the mindset and getting you in the right place, and then from there you go from there.
Bold literally changed my life.
Mhm.
Before bold, I thought I was dreaming. It wasn't dreaming. If you say to yourself, "Man, I wish I had a cheeseburger," and it's right across the street, it's pretty easy to get. That's not a dream. If you say to yourself, God, I just want to make that extra mortgage payment on my house this year. Right? Then you know you have the extra $100 a month to come up with $1,200 in a year. That's not a dream. That's a goal. It's a task. But that isn't a dream. A dream is something that you don't know how you're going to attain. But yet you still believe that you can attain it if you just try. That's a dream. And I think sometimes life sucks our ability to dream right out of us. And unless we have the mindset, or somebody else around us does, to funnel it back into the well and fill it back up with hope, we start dreaming real small. You know? And I wasn't dreaming at all. Not even a little bit. And I thought I was. You know? And that was one thing, right? But I also was really focused on the money when I got into real estate. And the reason was because I had spent 7 years educating myself and trying to get ahead in the field that was very traditionally run by men in public county. And I was waiting to be paid. And so after 28 years and $70,000, I didn't feel like I was gonna pay. And I know that might sound crazy, because that's a lot of money. But the harder you work, the more you expect to earn. The more you run circles around the people that are above you and work less and make more, the more motivated you get. And so when I got into real estate, it was the first time I realized that I didn't ceiling on my head. And that really inspired me to work. And I wanted to get paid. And so at first, I was very focused on the commission. And bold helped me understand that if you want to make a lot of money in real estate, all you have to do is provide a whole lot of service to a whole lot of people. And it's about the service. It's about the service and it's about the people.
And you just hit on a very important thing, which is to a lot of people.
A lot of people.
So it's not,
It's volume.
it's not just help, it's helping people, but it's helping.
A lot of people. Think about one transaction, how many people you help in one transaction. You know, when Judy Sayhay from the North office sold my house on Mount Laurel,
And did she, okay.
Yeah. and her offer came in,
Yeah.
and I saw she was the agent, I knew who I was dealing with right away. And then I saw the broker that the buyer's using, it's Holland,
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
and I knew who I was dealing
Oh,
with
yeah, for sure.
right away.
Mhm.
And I didn't know the number yet. And I called my ex-husband on the phone and I said, we should take this off. It's too close.
Yeah, oh, yeah, for sure.
Because Judy Say and Holland Mortgage Advisors have that reputation.
Oh, absolutely.
Without question, everybody in this town pretty much knows that, right? Everybody knows who they are. And that's the kind of reputation you want to have, right? She helped me so much on so many levels that I can't measure, way beyond money,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
way beyond proceeds, right? She helped me a lot. And that's just me. These people, they're ecstatic about buying this house. They never have to move for it. They're crazy about it, you know? And I have another person in my life that gets to move on with his life because Judy said to their job. And the number was a little lower than what I wanted, but I didn't even count it. Because I knew that if I just let them have it, it's only off by $5,000, okay? If I
Should
just
have the home inspection anyway, if you could.
just let them have it, right? We're gonna build a win-win right from the start. Why go back and ask them for $5,000? Stupid, okay? It's nothing. It's literally nothing, right? Don't think about the time value of money. What I lose in this house, I'll pick up on the next one,
I love your enthusiasm.
right?
Like,
And so I didn't really, I let it go. I let it go. And it worked beautifully. They didn't ask for a thing in inspection, not a thing.
Because you,
So I already built a win-win. It
exactly.
was a done deal. There wasn't anything else to argue about. No. So just do that. Do that with every deal that you try to craft. Try to make it a win-win for everybody involved. And put yourself at the end of that. You're already winning. You've got a buyer. Or you've got a seller, right, Jordana? How many times have we said, well, we didn't get the house, but I still have the buyer? Right? Serving them is the prize.
Yeah, no, you're right, and that's what.
Great job, Kris. Thank
But
you.
listen,
for sharing.
and I'll tell you one thing too, is in the what you, what, Chris was talking about, TBA, and the one thing, the thing about it truly that separates Keller Williams in many ways, and I'm not putting any other words down.
No.
It doesn't matter. In fact, rather the lady Keller, you know, one like #1 giving referrals out for all of Eastern United States, and because I had introduced her to Joe, this guy knew at family reunion, and when we got on the call, he said, why don't you tell me? Joe said, why don't you tell me Elaine was like this big deal? I said, because that's not what Keller Williams is. You decide the business that you want to do, if you do that business. She wants to do that level of business, and that's, she's gonna do everything it takes to get there. So there is no favorite, or, you know, you can start with that person's the favorite, that one's the lucky one. It's, put the work in, and you'll make it happen. Try to work.
I feel like, I've only worked with 2 brokerages. But I can't imagine a brokerage better than this one, I really can't.
Yeah, it's just the value.
I got nothing from support, nothing from support.
You did a great job.
Thank you, guys.
I love this passion.
Thank you for this beautiful day, Doug.
Yeah, I'm glad I made
And
it.
Allie.
Long day.
Deanna told me to, well, we have to stop. I realize I'm not gonna watch through it.
Hello.
I'm like the phantom in the background. I'm like, Deanna said you have a funny story.
I'm in here all day.
What's that?
Deanna said you have a funny story.
A funny story for you?
This is like school.
Oh my gosh, it's been such a long day. I probably do.
Yeah.
Most of my days are like this.
I probably do. I'm just like,